I'm Bill from Iron Will, and this is the process I use to bond in HIT inserts with two-part epoxy. So first I have everything I'm going to need. I have the HIT inserts, the HIT insert installation tool, the two-part epoxy, something to cut it open, along with the brush, Q-tips for cleaning the bore, cloth, paper plate or piece of cardboard to mix up the epoxy, and then a small dish that I'm going to clean the HIT inserts in as well. So first step is I'm going to clean the HIT inserts. So I put a little bit of alcohol, in a dish, put the HIT inserts into that. Just kind of, move them around in the alcohol, and then just take them out, lay them on the cloth to dry. And HIT inserts should be cleaned already. We clean them before we package them up, ship them out, but this is just kind of a safety step in case they've been sitting out or got any contamination on them. Next, I'm going to prep the arrow. So first thing I'm going to do is pull out the nock. This is especially important if you're using a HIT insert that's solid, so you don't build up any pressure in there that's going to want to push the HIT insert back out, but just a good safety step anyway. Pull the nock. Then I'm going to attach the brush to the back of the tool and run the brush through the bore. So I'm going to push it in, rotating all the way until the tool seats. And then I'm going to do a few turns in there. What I'm trying to do is just score the bore, just put little scratches in the bore. It gives it a little more for the epoxy to bite into. And then as I pull it out, I'm going to turn it as well. And this is a new brush, so it makes it a little harder, and it gets a little bit easier as the brush wears. After I've scored the bore, the next step is I'm going to clean the bore. So I'm just going to use a Q-tip, and you can use isopropyl alcohol or acetone for this. Wet the Q-tip and just run it in the bore, just kind of spinning, run it in and out, and you're going to get all that carbon dust out of the arrow. I then run a dry one through there to try and pick up as much alcohol or acetone and just try and dry that out as much as you can. And I'm going to go through and clean all the arrows that I'm going to build up at this step, clean and dry, and I'm going to just set them aside for 10-15 minutes. Let all that alcohol, acetone evaporate off. You want it to just be clean and dry when you install the HIT inserts. So next I'm going to mix up the two-part epoxy. So you can fold it in half. There's a little cut line shown on it. Take a pair of scissors, cut it off with that cut line, and squeeze out equal part of both the clear and yellow material. And it's best just to push everything out of the packet, and then you should have an equal amount of those two. And then just take a little stick or a Q-tip and thoroughly mix that together. You'll see it kind of turns to a pearly white color there. And it's just important that you're mixing the two sides and you don't just use one part or the other when you coat the HIT insert. Next, I like to check the fit of everything before I start putting epoxy on. So what I'll do is just take the HIT insert that you're going to use, make sure it easily goes in and out of the arrow. It could hang up if the cut of the arrow had a little burr on it, something like that. So it's just always like a little safety check, make sure that's going to go in and out of there. I also like to take the tool and make sure that goes in and out of there as well. It should be a relatively tight fit, but it should be able to be removed. So you may have to rotate a little bit as you go in and out, but you want to make sure that's able to move freely. You can remove the brush at this point just to install the HIT inserts. So next I'm going to coat the HIT inserts. I use a little epoxy brush that we include with our epoxy kit. And what I want to do is really coat all the grooves on this HIT insert. So I'm coating the back, probably 3/4 of the HIT insert with this, and just making sure it goes all the way around. What I want to do is make sure that all these little grooves are full of epoxy when it goes into the arrow. Those grooves help for the epoxy to have something to sit into. It really helps improve the strength of that bond. Okay, next, when you're putting the HIT insert into the arrow, what you want to do is rotate it as you go. And you can see it's going to push out a bead of epoxy, which it should be doing. And you want to just go ahead and rotate, pushing in, about as far as you can before your fingers are going to hit the epoxy. Right about there, I'm only leaving maybe a little over an 1/8 inch or so. You can kind of wipe off the excess epoxy there, push the HIT insert the rest of the way. And now you're going to use the tool to seat it all the way in. So take the tool, just push it straight in till it seats, nice and slowly, pull it out. You can take a cloth and clean up, wipe away any excess that's on the end of the arrow. And that's it. You just want to take this arrow then and sit it horizontal and just leave it like that. You don't want to sit it upright because the HIT insert can move a little bit. It'll take probably 45 minutes to an hour before that epoxy sets up pretty well. And during that time, the insert could shift if you're sitting it up or banging it around. So it's best just to leave it sit horizontal. I recommend then that you save the epoxy that you mixed up and come back and check it in a couple of hours. Make sure it's fully hardened at that point. And then you'll know that the epoxy, there's no issues with the epoxy. It had a strong bond, it did harden up. So it's best to wait about 24 hours before you shoot your arrows. Then you'll have the full strength of that bond, and it should work well for you.